Hello and welcome back to Bookmark Chronicles. Today is a very sad day. If you follow me on Twitter, you know why. But I'm here to do a drunk book review of a book that I thought I would love and I hated it. Let me rephrase. I won't say I hated it. I had expectations that were not met. I didn't feel like the answers that we got to a lot of the questions that I had really made sense. It was so slow compared to the other books, and it hurt. It hurt, but I ended up giving it 2 stars. So today I'm going to be reviewing Empire of Gold, the third book in the Daevabad trilogy by S.A. Chakraborty. Before we get into it though, today I am going to be drinking Carolina Red from Dublin Winery. This is a winery located in North Carolina, and they have some pretty good wines, so. So, if you are unfamiliar with the Daevabad trilogy, the first book is called City of Brass. It is dual perspective in which we follow Nari, a con artist in 18th century Cairo, as well as Prince Elizade Al-Qahtani, who lives in a magical city of Daevabad. While Nari is conning people, she also does have a special ability. She's able to sense sickness in people and sometimes can even help rid them of that sickness. So one day while she's trying to help a young girl, she accidentally summons an ancient jinn warrior. The warrior also notices that there's something special about Nari, so he takes her to Daevabad, and eventually the storylines do converge. I loved City of Brass. It was a 5-star prediction for me, and for once I was actually right. I ended up rating it 5 stars. I really love the world and the characters and the political intrigue and everything that was happening. And even though I didn't love Empire of Gold, I will always continue to recommend City of Brass because I fucking love it. It's so good and it is absolutely worth the read. For anyone who is planning to read this series in the future or has already read City of Brass and is moving on to Kingdom of Copper, I do want to mention that there is a 5-year time jump between City of Brass and Kingdom of Copper, and I think it's important to know that going in. I didn't know that going in, and it was kind of confusing, so I think that that's just something to know if you're going to read the series. For Kingdom of Copper, I was also really enjoying it. Again, the political intrigue and everything that's going on was really cool up until the end. The last few chapters, something happens, and to me, it just didn't really make a lot of sense. Up until that point, I was also planning on giving Kingdom of Copper 5 stars. I ended up giving it 4 stars because of the ending, but I still really enjoyed it. Typically, I'm a sucker for a good plot twist, and there was a huge plot twist at the end of Kingdom of Copper. However, not in a good way. I didn't like it. I was just like, this doesn't make any fucking sense. I'm really fucking confused. And for that reason, I was super excited to start reading Empire of Gold because I thought all of my questions would be answered and that it was going to be like, you know, this awesome ending. And there were some things that I did enjoy about the ending. However, overall, I was not a fan. For me personally, and these are just my opinions, I do not want to be the reason that someone doesn't read this series, because as I said, I still love City of Brass and I will always recommend that. However, I ended up rating Empire of Gold 2 stars because I felt like it was way too slow for my liking. The questions that I wanted answers to, some of them we did get, some of them we didn't. But overall, it felt like it was 766 pages of almost nothing happening, which I didn't love. I think maybe I would have enjoyed it a little more if perhaps it was a little shorter. There was also just a lot going on all around the board with all of the characters and everything, and it kind of felt like too much. It felt like too much and not enough at the same time, if that makes any sense. Like, there were so many different things happening, but at the same time, all of them were so drawn out that it felt like every time we did get to some big revelation, it was kind of just like, oh, that's it? Okay, cool. All right, let's take another 100 pages to get to the next thing. So, Shana Chakraborty is releasing, I guess, a novella that takes place in the world of Daevabad sometime in 2022. I don't remember the title. It's something silver. And I do think that I'm still gonna read it just because I do really love the world that she has created. I think she did a fantastic job with world building and all of that. If she releases anything else in the future outside of Daevabad, I do think that I would still give it a chance. Like I said, I still love City of Brass. I still gave Kingdom of Copper 4 stars. So Empire of Gold just wasn't it for me, but I do still recommend the series and I would read anything else by her. If you have not yet read Empire of Gold but would like to, this is your official spoiler warning. All right, so typically for my reviews, I would start with the characters. At this point, I don't really feel the need to do that, and so I will talk a bit about the characters. However, I'm going to focus more on plot points. Starting with Nari and Ali ending up in Egypt at the end of Kingdom of Copper. So perhaps I missed it, and it is possible because I feel like there were times when I was reading where I kind of just spaced out and wasn't really paying attention because I didn't really care. I don't feel like the question of how Nari and Ali ended up in Egypt was answered. And I could totally fucking be wrong. So if you've read Empire Gold, please let me know because I don't know. There, like, so many things were happening. It was so slow. I didn't care. Like, I could have totally missed it. I don't know. Perhaps it has something to do with the lake being owned by the Marid and whatever. It just doesn't make sense to me. In the middle of Daevabad, jump off the top of the palace, and you end up over here. It doesn't make sense. Maybe it was answered, maybe it wasn't. I'll ask Dasha when she finishes reading. Maybe I'll talk to Deshauna, I know she's finished. I don't know, it just didn't make sense to me, and it just really bothered me, and that's why I didn't give Kingdom of Copper a full 5 stars, or even a 4.5 like I was planning to. That ending just did not make sense to me, and I did not love it. So, on the topic of Nari and Ali, the other thing that I really fucking hated throughout the series, well, okay, if you've seen my other reviews, or even if not, in City of Brass, after I finished that one, I said that I didn't care for Ali. I felt like he as a character was pretty fucking boring, but there were a lot of interesting things that were happening around him that we found out through his POV, so I still enjoyed it. In book 2, I kind of liked him a little bit more because he was kind of coming into his own a little bit more, and like learning to do what the fuck he needed to do, and I really appreciated that. But one thing that was constantly mentioned that I didn't like was his attraction to Nari. And in book 1, it felt totally unnecessary, especially after the engagement to Muntadir. It was just like, okay, cool, you like her, whatever. I don't really care. I don't care. This is completely irrelevant to the story. She's supposedly in love with Dara. Like, I don't understand why this keeps being brought up. So then for their romance to kind of like really be pushed full force in this book, I fucking hated it because all of a sudden, after 6 years, Nari all of a sudden has feelings for him, and I'm not saying that can't happen, but with her supposedly being so in love with Dara, and then Ali always saying, oh, well, that's my brother's wife, I can't do anything, I can't act on this, plus my religion, like, you know, I need to be married and blah, blah, blah. For her to suddenly have feelings for him, like 50-60% of the third book, all of a sudden, like, it didn't feel believable. I didn't feel the chemistry between the two of them. Their romance, like, I didn't care about it at all. But what also pissed me off is that there was this whole sort of build up on Ali's side, at least, and then all of a sudden Nari has feelings too, and at the end of the book, it's not even like they're actually a couple, and I get that they're taking it slow or whatever, and that's totally fine. However, for them to not be together at the end of this, what the fuck was the point of throwing that romance in there? It just didn't work for me, and I mean, I'm a little picky about that. I don't typically love romance subplots in fantasy anyway, and in this one, it just felt totally unnecessary, not just between Nari and Ali, but also between Nari and Dara. So didn't care for it. To be totally honest, the only romances that I felt were believable were Muntadir and Jamshid and Manaiza and Kaveh. Which is saying a lot because Manaiza is a fucking bitch. But the next thing is Ali's connection to the Marid, and I knew that there needed to be some sort of explanation for why they chose him and, you know, why he had that magic and everything, but I can't really say that I care about that aspect of the story. I just feel like it was really drawn out, and the whole thing with Tiamat and why he had to fight so back, like, what was the point of forcing him to fight his ancestor just to be like, I'm not gonna do this, I'm not gonna kill him, to show that he's a good person? I mean, we already know that. He's shown that from the very beginning. He has been trying his damnedest to fix the civil unrest in his city. We know that already. And I didn't learn a lot of mythology, any kind of mythology growing up. So, I mean, it was kind of cool, but at the same time, like, I didn't really care for it. And I mean, I do like the fact that, you know, the lake has been separated from Daevabad now, and that Ali is sort of an ambassador between the Jinn and the Marad. I think that's pretty cool, but I feel like there could have been a different way to do it. Like the whole underwater thing with him going to Tiamat and her taking away his firepower, like changing his appearance. Was it necessary? Did it add to the story? I don't think so. So I don't know. I just didn't love that. And I felt like that part was so drawn out. And it didn't need to be. Also, like, what are the chances that Ali's Marred ancestor just happens to know Nari's biological mother? Like, I don't know. It just felt forced, I guess. That whole thing just felt a little too convenient in my opinion. But whatever. As far as the Katani siblings, Mundir and Zainab, in my opinion, I would have liked more of them. I would have actually really enjoyed if we had gotten their point of views in this one. I think that would have been really cool. Mundir as he's being held captive in the palace, and Zainab as she is leading a revolution in the Gaziri quarter. I think that would have been really cool. I feel like Zainab really became a badass in this one, and I feel like we didn't get enough of it. But at the same time, I feel like because there was so much else going on, we couldn't have, and I think that probably would have been a better way to go. So the Naive family drama. First of all, Kave's death was pretty brutal. I did feel bad for Jamshid. That was rough. However, finding out that Nari and Jamshid were not actual siblings made a lot of sense to me, because the way that Manaiza spoke about Nari, even in Kingdom of Copper, opposed to the way that she spoke about Jamshid when it was revealed that that was her son too, it didn't add up. She clearly had much more affection for him than she did for Nari, and I didn't understand why at first. Now it makes sense. Nari is not her daughter. Why she's been going with that lie though doesn't make a ton of sense. I mean, I kind of get it to not let people know that Rustam had slept with a human, but it also didn't really add up knowing that she is, you know, on this pure blood train and called Shafi's dirt bloods and all that shit. So it was kind of confusing. Like, it didn't really make a lot of sense. Also, I had said previously, how the fuck did you hide 2 whole ass pregnancies and nobody knew about these kids? But also, when she and Kaveh are reunited, well, not even reunited, because it's clear that they still have feelings for each other. So if Kaveh has known this entire time that Manaiza was alive, it wouldn't have made sense that Manaiza would sleep with someone else, let alone a human. That whole situation just always felt weird to me. Like, the way that Manaiza talked to and about Nari didn't make sense, and now it makes so much more sense to know that that's not actually her child. So I've talked a lot about things that I disliked in this book, and I do have to admit that there were some things that I still did enjoy. So I feel like I'm going to try to end this on a positive note, because yeah, I did enjoy getting to see Queen Hotset again. I enjoyed being in Tenitri, but I feel like if we had gotten like a little bit more about their culture, that would have been cool. For example, with her Ayonle heritage, we know that both Ali and Zainab have an affinity to water. However, I don't know if Hotset also has that same affinity, and like we didn't really see any water elemental magic while they were there, and I think that would have been cool. I do like that Nari is the one that ended up with Suleiman's Sealed. I think that makes the most sense. How that will work in the future of Daevabad, I don't know, but that would be interesting to see. And this is gonna sound kind of harsh, but I'm glad Manaiza is dead, and I'm glad that Dara was the one that killed her, because Jesus Christ, she really fucked him over. Good for him going after the Ifrit, trying to free people, cool. But again, the whole scene with him and Nari saying goodbye and how much he loves her and blah blah blah, like, I didn't believe it. Yeah, Manaiza's death is exactly what needed to happen. She became a fucking tyrant and she was just slaughtering people for no reason, so I'm glad that's over. So yeah, there were at least 3 things about this book that I did enjoy. However, I don't think it needed to be almost 800 pages. And the question of how the fuck they ended up in Egypt still remains. Oh God. I've never been so sad to dislike a book. But here we are. Okay, so I looked up the new collection of stories that is being released. It's called The River of Silver, Tales from the Daevabad Trilogy, and it is set to release March 1st of 2022. And so it's a compilation of stories from before, during, and after the events of City of Brass, Kingdom of Copper, and Empire of Gold, all from the perspectives of characters both loved and hated, and even those without a voice in the novels. Okay, so it says, a prospective new queen joins a court whose lethal history may overwhelm her own political savvy. An imprisoned royal from a fallen dynasty and a young woman runs from her home cross paths in an enchanted garden. A pair of scouts stumble upon a secret in a cursed winter wood that will turn over their world. Now together in one place, these stories of Daevabad enrich a world already teeming with magic and wonder, from Maniz's first steps toward rebellion to adventures that take place after the Empire of Gold. This is a must-have collection for those who can't get enough of Nari, Ali, and Dara. So I'll probably read it, but yeah, that's happening. I'll be interested to see what she writes in the future. I also think it'd be really cool actually if City of Brass got an adaptation. But for now, those are all of my thoughts on Empire of Gold. I'm so sad. So those are my thoughts on Empire of Gold. Let me know if you've read it or if it's on your TBR. Otherwise, that's all I have for you today, and I'll see you in the next video.